Last time we talked about how to list our priorities and then list our investments of time and money, and then how to turn those into actual reality, daily lifestyles, whether it's on our calendar or whether it's on a budget, putting our resources into what we say are our priorities in life. Now I want to offer some principles on how to do that more effectively, because again, going back to Proverbs 21, good planning leads to prosperity. Haste, hurry, poor planning, lack of forward thinking leads to a poverty and a place we really struggle to be able to bless other people. So here's some principles. The first one is plan ahead. Plan ahead. The ahead part is really key. So before you wrap up and leave the office today, plan for tomorrow. Write down what you're going to do, adjust your calendar. That just settles things for tomorrow. Or maybe there's other weekly rhythms that you want to build into the planning cycle, or annual rhythms. But planning ahead is so helpful because it takes a lot of the stress off when you get in that place. And this doesn't sound super spiritual, but it's so spiritual, because when people aren't planning well, when they get caught up in stress, they react impatiently, they react in anger, they're trying to catch up, they're exhausted, they don't give love to their loved ones like they want to. They're breaking promises. This stuff just has huge implications in the way we love God and in the way we love people, especially. Okay, the second one is this: plan your energy. Plan your energy, not just your time, because the truth is we are not machines. We don't perform equally with the same amount of energy all day. There are natural rhythms. For example, studies have shown that almost all people across all cultures have natural rhythms to how their day functions. They have a lower energy when they wake up in the morning, and then by mid-morning that energy peaks, and by mid-late morning it's at a high energy point, clear mind and high energy, and then it dips a little bit after lunch. Early afternoon is a lull in energy, and then by late afternoon, early evening, most people have a resurgence in energy. And so just knowing that helps us plan our energy. Because we could assign quality time, but if we don't have quality energy, what we're giving in that circumstance isn't very quality. Does that make sense? So plan our energy. There are some tasks that it might take you 2 hours to do at a lull in the day. But if you did it in a peak energy, it might only take you an hour because your mind is clear, you're thinking, you're active. So plan your energy. Third is plan breaks. Plan breaks. There's a famous author, a novelist, that said, resting is the real work. Man, that's a really good perspective, because we want to be more productive. We want to shoot through and just grind it out. But if we don't plan breaks, what we're really doing is setting ourselves up for long-term failure. Breaks, rest, rhythms of renewal are essential. So plan them into the day. In the morning, in the afternoon, I take a short break. I make sure there's breaks built in. God built in a long break in the week. It's called a Sabbath day. Do no regular work. It's one of the 10 Commandments. Do no regular work on that day. I want you to rest. I want you to renew your body, God is saying. And he set the example by doing it. He created the earth in 6 days. He took seventh day as a day of rest. Now, here's the interesting thing. Rest and renewal might look different depending on what you do. So renewing your mind might be different. If you're in a computer job all day and your mind is just being taxed, a break for you might be taking a walk. You're physically active. That feels renewing. If you're doing manual labor all day and you're exhausted, a break for you might be jumping on the computer for a little bit and just researching something you're interested in, or reading a book quietly. If you work from home and you're alone all day, a break for you might be going out with a friend in a very social environment. But if you're working with people all day and answering calls and helping people, a break for you might be going home and just having some quiet time by yourself. So give yourself permission to do what renews you. You don't have to follow somebody else's prescription, but build in breaks. Renew so that we keep coming with quality. When we're loving, when we're present with people, when we're working, when we're serving, we're doing that with excellence and quality, as if we're doing it for the Lord, not just for people, because that's what he instructed us to do. Fourth is create margin. Create some margin in your life. This is an important principle, because if we don't create margin, everything else in life will suck it up before it starts. So create some time margin. Just create a day when you're planning your calendar and you're planning your schedule. If it is packed to the minute, that's not going to be a very fun day for anybody. I used to have days like this where I just stacked meeting. It was so packed that I didn't have time to breathe, and there wasn't any margin. If anything went just a slight bit off schedule, it stressed me out. I had to break commitments and appointments. And the point was, I wasn't any more productive without margin. I'm actually more productive when creating a little bit of margin in life. It helps focus priorities. Make a decision in your life that your life is not going to be marked by busyness. You're not going to be a busy, rushed, stressed person. Everybody's doing that. And look, it's not fun. It leads to all kinds of health complications. It leads to all kinds of spiritual withering. God does not tend to work his best work inside of our soul when we're busy and stressed all the time. It's not easy to hear his voice. It's harder to respond in love and patience and kindness with people if we're constantly busy. So just decide. I made this decision a while ago. When people ask how you're doing, I'm not going to say busy. Is my day full? Absolutely. Am I doing more than I've ever done? Absolutely. It's focused. It's full. It's blessed. It's full of opportunity. I'll say things like that, but I won't say busy, because what that communicates is I don't have time for you. I don't have time for anything else. It's creating this sort of back off feel. I'm too busy. And that's not the life we want to live. We don't want to give that vibe to our kids, to our spouse, to our friends, to our family members. What we want to give is again, those golden fruits. We want to communicate and exude love to people. We want to have the margin and capacity to receive that love and joy from God on a daily basis. And to be a peacemaker in environments that are all too often super stressed. The interesting thing about what I'm saying is creating margin often does not mean you sacrifice effectiveness or efficiency. It usually increases them. Same thing with relational margin. Having the ability to be fully present with the people you're with is an incredible way to love them. And same thing with financial margin. Having a savings account for emergencies, having insurances for emergencies, also having some margin to be able to give. The Apostle Paul instructed in one of his epistles to somebody who was a thief. He said, stop stealing stuff from other people and start working with your hands so that you can earn money and have something to give. That's the kind of margin we want to live in life. Next is communicate clearly. This is an important principle about how we plan, is to be able to communicate that to others. Because you have a perfect plan, but other people aren't going to know about it. And they might ask you for this or ask you for that. And so we have to be able to communicate. Here's a few tips for communicating this stuff clearly. First, always be kind to people. Even if you're telling them no. We can tell someone no with love, value, and kindness because we actually love and value them. So let me give you an example. If somebody's calling you to sell you something, you can say yes unkindly like this. All right, yeah, all right, fine. I'll do it. That's fine. You sign me up. All right, that's fine. Yep, I'm in a rush. I'm busy though. I gotta go. All right, yep, all right, bye. That's a yes. Or you can also say no kindly. Oh, thanks for calling. That sounds really interesting. I'm not interested. I'm not able to do that right now, but I hope you have a great day. Hey, can you come to this thing? Oh, thanks so much for inviting me. Thanks for that opportunity. I really care about you. I'm not able to come to that, but I will be celebrating with you. Okay? Versus, hey, can you come to this thing? I don't know. I'm going to have to check my schedule. Gosh, I'm really busy. What time is it? Okay, yeah, I can come. All right, I'll be there. It's not just about the yes or no. It's about communicating with love and kindness. And also communicate simply. You can communicate simply. What some people try to do is they try to explain everything about their life and justify their priorities and justify to other people why they have to say no. I can't give to this. I don't have money to this because this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. You don't have to justify those things. You can just be really simple. Oh, thanks for that invitation. That sounds like a good cause or a good opportunity. I don't have the financial capacity for that right now, but I appreciate the offer. I'm not able to give to that. I'm not able to go to that. I'm not able to commit to that right now, but I appreciate you and thanks for asking. Real simple. Less is more. Next principle is organize your environment. Organize your environment toward what you want to do. A cluttered room usually contributes to a cluttered mind. Clean space usually helps have a clean mind and heart. This is not to say judgment or blame. It's just a principle that more than not tends to be true, tends to pan out in life. Organizing your environment up front takes some time. It takes some time to get things where they need to go, to be able to access everything really easily and clearly. Some organizational skills, maybe a little money to set up things the way you need it to go. But once you do that, boy, it just cuts out tons of time waste over the days and the years. So it's worth spending quite a bit of time up front organizing everything the way it will flow well. Whether it's in your home, whether it's in your office, whether it's on a playground or in files or whatever it is, one of the biggest time wasters for people is looking for things they've lost or trying to shuffle through things to get to something they don't know where it is. The next principle for planning is to create systems so that your mind doesn't have to. Have you ever laid in bed at night and maybe you're trying to pray or maybe you're trying to sleep, but your mind is still racing because there's 10 things that you didn't get done today? Or you wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot to call this person back, or I forgot to return this email, or I forgot to pick up this thing. And our mind is always putting ourselves in a place of stress because we don't have a system to capture that and put it on a list or put it in the calendar. So creating real simple systems takes a lot of stress off of our life. Here are a few examples that I've seen or that I practice. When you have an idea that you need to remember, text or email yourself a note about it so that you don't have to think about it. And you know I'm going to get to that text or I'm going to get to that email on my phone tomorrow. Don't have to worry about it tonight. Put a notepad beside your bed so that if one of those thoughts does come up that you need to capture and you're not a phone person at night, just jot it down and then you can close the book, get it tomorrow. Another system that I've seen is calendar checking the night before to make sure you know what the next day looks like and everything's prepared. Some people have administrative assistants or technology that helps do their scheduling so that they're not always overbooking or creating conflict. Some parents have created chore charts at home that their kids participate in. That's a system and it has the times and the designations. Simple processes really help us not get cluttered down in the things that we're planning. Here's the last principle. This is more like a tip. It's called clustering. When we cluster our work, it actually brings a ton of effectiveness. Now, some jobs or some environments, you have a lot of freedom to do this, and some you don't have as much. But even applying this principle a little bit, I think will help you feel like you're planning your time and it's really flowing more effectively, and you're not hitting those stress points as much. Here's what clustering means. It means putting similar tasks clustered together at the same time. Okay? So similar type of work, we just bunch it together so we do it all at once. This is the opposite of switch tasking. People say they're really good at multitasking. Nobody multitasks. We switch tasks. Our brain is focused here. We're doing this, and then somebody calls, boom, on the phone. Okay, done with that. Back to here. Heard a text message, gotta check that. My email ding, going to my email. Now I'm back to this project. Then somebody else walks in, I gotta deal with this. That switch tasking, it might be the nature of your job, and maybe that's okay, and that's not gonna change. But the more we can minimize that and cluster our work, the more effective we'll be, the more margin we will have. So for example, if you're doing creative work that really requires thought and time and perspective and wisdom, cluster that by itself. Don't put a bunch of things in it. It might take a few hours to really work that through, but if you do it well, you're not scattering that out for days and weeks. That's why I do message prep in the mornings for a large block of time, because it takes creative thought, it takes prayer, it takes reading, it takes some organizational skills, and switch tasking really throws that off. for a lot of people. If you're doing manual labor work, that's sometimes good to really cluster together. Okay, I've got a handful of things I need to do today that are going to require this. Okay, I'm in the clothing that I can get this done. I can sweat. I don't mind. I don't have to change outfits. I got the tools set up so that I can get a lot of work done. Don't have to reset the tools. Or okay, I'm in the mood. I got a lot of stuff done at once. Clustering helps. Or maybe relational connections. I know a number of people, I practice this most of the time, who check their emails once a day. I'm like, whoa, I'm on my email all the time. And to some degree, that might be necessary in your job, but clustering emails, text responses, phone calls to a particular period of the day allows really good connectivity and responsiveness without trying to jump back to all these other tasks. Just being with the person that you're writing, just being with the person that you're talking to, having that kind of communication, relationship, mind firing is really helpful. And the cool thing is, like most days, my email inbox is clear by the end of the day. I check the emails, but I'm responding to all of them thoroughly, thoughtfully, hopefully with some degree of helpfulness. I'm trying. And the inbox is clear at the end of the day. Wouldn't that be amazing? Or the text messages are all responded to and cleared. The calls are all responded to. That has been super helpful just through clustering. Okay, we're on the home stretch. This is the final aspect of our planning and our This Is Your Moment journey. And this is where it gets really exciting. Guys, I'm going to ask you some very important questions and share a couple tips that will be life-changing and legacy-changing if we implement them. What I want to ask you to do is write this down. What is the one sentence that you want everyone to say about you at your funeral? If you could script it, and just imagine that day. Hopefully it's far, far away. But everybody's at your funeral and they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so. And this is what they say. This is how they summarize your life in one sentence. What do you want that sentence to be? That captures some of our biggest priority in life, and we kind of live in that direction. We let God transform us in that direction. Now let's do that same kind of exercise with a much bigger picture, not a weekly schedule, but let's look at it in terms of life. What are some of the most important contributions you want to make during your lifetime? How do you want to serve the world? Okay, write that down, and then let's look at aligning our money investments, our time investments toward that serving opportunity, toward that contribution. Maybe it's a year goal. Maybe it's a decade by decade step toward that contribution. What are some of the things you want to teach your children or your grandchildren while you're alive? Write them down. Like, I want to teach them this. I want them to know this. I want them to experience this. Okay, now let's look in the years, the decades perspective. How am I moving toward that? How am I aligning my time? How am I aligning my resources to make sure that happened? Here are some key ideas when we talk about legacy planning. It's not just money, not just an inheritance, like the important stuff, the spiritual legacy. What do I want to pass on? What has God put inside me to make a difference in the world through? What do I want to teach my family? What do I want to share with my loved ones? Those are important ideas. Here's 3 tips that really help as we plan that sort of thinking. Number 1, more is caught than taught. More is caught than taught. So the greatest impact we will have on people is based on how we live. Your life example is going to speak louder than anything else. People see it, and your family will know it. It's what will influence your kids the most, which is why we're spending so much time saying, okay, I want to learn how to change. I want God to transform me from the inside out, because I know that the biggest influence I have is based on who I am. More is caught than taught. Second key tip is that we can create memorable moments based on key values, or create moments around key values. Okay, so if there is something really important you want to teach your kids, go to a special place. Go to a place you've never been, or give them a really special gift when you're sharing that lesson with them, something they can hold on to. Craft those special, memorable moments. If it's something you want to share with a spouse or great grandkids or whatever, take a vacation to a special place if you can afford it, or just take them out to lunch to a special. Create the moments that connect with the values, the place, the food, the rituals, write a letter, share something physical, a gift, a keepsake with them, to really embed that value and lesson with them. And here's the third one: endings count times 10. Endings count times 10. Our life speaks for itself, but what we do at the very end has a much longer, bigger impact. So this means finishing well. If it's finishing a job, making the best of those last couple weeks, last couple days, and last few interactions with the people that you serve. Really crafting those to just exude those fruits of love and joy. Exude your heart to serve and value people. This goes with the end of life as well. Finishing well, planning end of life details so that other people don't have to, and then doing things like legacy gifts, financial investments, write a letter, tell them what's important, have this read, do a video recording that's shown at your funeral, have those one-on-one moments before the very last breath with each family member, telling them what's important, making sure everybody knows you love them, all is forgiven, here's what matters in life. And those endings count times 10 and will ripple and affect a legacy throughout the generations. If there's a change that God is doing in your life, a transformation headed toward, this is your moment. This is your moment. May God give you all the strength and momentum and power and hope and action and faith that you need to let this be a lasting lifestyle change that not only affects you, but brings waves of blessing for many generations to come.